Okay. First of all, thank you very much for having me here. Yes, the satellite capacity is, we are witnessing the reduction of the price of the satellite capacity. I believe this is not strange due to many factors. You know, we all, the immediate impact of reduction in the satellite capacity would be the reduction in the volume of the business, of course. You know, this could be kind of opportunity for consumer market, because consumer market they were always claiming about the satellite solution as a pricey type of communications, basically tools or communication media, right? But reduction in the price, you know, and somehow evolution of some new concept like LEO, MEO, you know, high throughput satellite. It's a very unique opportunity for a satellite industry, you know, to make more market penetrations, think about new verticals, think about new applications, and think about basically more market share inside the telecommunication arena. You know, traditionally, satellite market has been considered as a very niche, you know, market inside satellite, inside telecommunications arena. You know, I believe that the reduction in the price is not a threat per se. We can have a lot of opportunity, but the challenge would be whether we want to implement the conventional way of we were using satellite communications, or we decided to basically think a little bit out of the box. You know, I strongly believe that we have to take some measures. You know, one of the measures would be let the new generations inside satellite market to take over somehow. You know, of course, new generations, they may have a little bit radical idea. You know, sometimes they may have some, you know, they may bring even something which, from conventional standpoint, would be a little bit mission impossible. But looking at the other markets, you know, we are witnessing that how somehow some unusual idea in the world become a very successful business model. I believe. I don't want to compare satellite industry with any other industry, but I strongly believe if we are really thinking about, you know, market penetrations in the matter of applications, new market, new opportunity, we have to think about human capital inside satellite industry too. You know, satellite industry is heavily relying on basically its own very close circuits of the human capitals. You know, we need to think about somehow bringing some other expertise, you know, from some other verticals into the satellite industry and let them assess what we did and what we are doing. Sometimes it would be a very unique opportunity for all of us. You know, when you used to do a business for 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, following the same business model, these kind of situations like price reduction in the capacity, or basically, as you mentioned, you know, some substitute look like fiber optic connections or microwave connections, it would be really confusing and it could be somehow a threat. You know, but this is not just happen for satellite industry. It is happen in any other industry. You know, we can leverage by using bringing the human capitals from outside the industry and ask them the concept, what they did. You know, with the same concept happened, for instance, in some other industry 10 years back or 5 years back or 20 years back. I mean, the concept itself, I'm not talking about a solution, because every and each industry, every and each verticals got its own difficulty. I believe there are a lot of ways to mitigate. I don't see essentially the price reduction as a threat. It could be a very great opportunity to have more market penetration, to convince the people to go from, because satellite capacity always had been considered as a narrowband communications because it was expensive and everybody was trying to basically to reduce the cost using a smaller pipe, But right now, with the price reduction, we can actively think about the real broadband type of communication over satellite, I don't see this one in the long term, of course, as a threat. It really can be as an opportunity, but it's very much up to the industry how we want to treat, how we want to treat this unique challenge. Whether we look it as an opportunity, we want just to set back and say that we don't want to reduce the price, or we just consider this one as an opportunity, embrace the opportunity, and cope with this, with this so-called threat, which potentially we can consider as an opportunity in satellite industry. I believe, and we strongly believe in North Telecom, which satellite industry is moving very much from a kind of centralized activity to be decentralized. The way I'm trying to explain how satellite industry will be much decentralized compared to, let's say, a decade back, which is your questions, is like, let's say 5 years back or 7 years back, the definition of, let's say, for instance, teleport operations or teleport operators was a completely different things from, at least from North Telecom standpoint, maybe still the concept of a teleport, meaning that you have a land, you have some antenna, you have some infrastructures in X part of the world or other part of the world, But I strongly believe, and we are signaling this one inside the market too, the concept of a teleport operation or basically teleport operators is really moving from a kind of centralized operation to be a decentralized, It's happened somehow inside some other market, for instance, the data hosting market, right? Previously, there was a lot of small operators. Right now, we are witnessing a lot of, since many years back, we are witnessing kind of co-locations or basically data centers, which those kind of company, they are acting like a neutral players, and they are welcoming all kind of operators, all kind of customers to host their own operation and their own facility. All they are providing is just infrastructures. I strongly believe, due to many reasons, for instance, regulation. Every single country around the world, they are trying to tighten the regulation. Cross-border communication is going to be somehow illegal in every and each country. They are concerning about sovereignty, they are concerning about security, they are concerning about, many other concerns, which, of course, regulatory, they have better understanding than myself, or because we are thinking just about the satellite communications. I believe the meaning of the teleport, or the meaning of basically having a kind of teleport operation, the way we were thinking 10 years back, or it would be completely different, which we are doing now and which we are doing, let's say, 5 years down the road or 3 years down the road. As a service providers, we have no option but to think about a really global coverage, having a lot of collaborations with perhaps our competitors even, or with the Telecom, to have a local market penetrations, rather than just to think about, let's say, having a teleport in 3, 4, 5 geographical location. It would be good for some particular applications, for instance, maritime applications or aeronautical applications, but for some other applications like perhaps oil and gas applications or banking, private network, internet over satellite, some other solutions, the market is moving toward more domestic operation rather than having, let's say, a couple of teleports around the world. I strongly believe the concept of decentralized operations was not that much existing, let's say, 10 years back or even 5 years back, but time by time, perhaps in 2 years' time or 3 years' times, we will have this kind of new concept. We need to actively think about geographical diversifications. Rather we go really geographical, small operations around the globe, or we just concentrate on a very particular applications, i.e. maritimes or aeronauticals, and we leave the others to the local players. I mean, there would be different scenario, different basically business model. As I said, I strongly believe this is the future of the. I mean, in WTA, you have a concept, you call it the future teleport. From my point of view, my interpretation of the future teleport would be more, let's say, more in the operation side. More on transferring the expertise and engineering to the partners around the globe, rather than operating the physical teleport. Physical teleport will be there. We are operating. Every single active players in this market has his own facility, but I believe in the next future, very next future, having just a couple of geographical locations will not fulfill all the requirements. We have to have this kind of domestic operations and collaborations. We call it. We have a concept right now. We call it teleport facility, basically agreements with the telecoms or with the active players around the globe. This would complement our portfolio, all of us inside the satellite market, and it will enable all of us to have more market penetrations, geographical diversifications, and of course complying with the local regulation. That is the key in the future, because we have no option but to comply with the local regulation. In some countries there are some expertise. In some countries, in many underdeveloped countries, you see there is no much satellite gateway, no even knowledge about how to handle the satellite gateway. We need to make a partnership. We need to make basically do some sort of knowledge sharing, transferring some knowledge, find a partners, and it takes time. It's kind of a new concept, inside satellite industry.